In this episode, we'll get into diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, hardstones, rainbows in a way that you probably haven't heard, and if you think you're not into it, by then, you will.
Pretty little thing, let me light your count, cause mama, I'm sure hard to hell now, yes around.
Welcome back on A Matter of Time. I'm glad my two dogs, right and left, have stopped chewing on their, what I call a beef jerky. It turns out to be a chili bite because we're in London.
These are good. These are really good.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No,
Unpaid spot. Unpaid.
Okay, that being said, and to play on words, it was only a matter of time since you and I sat down and speak about probably one of my favorite topics, which are gemstones, but not just gemstones. You have probably seen the last couple of years some trends coming out, like diamonds, like hardstones, like rainbow bezels. And we're going to delve into this because it's not brand new. It's actually coming back, and now it's part of the watch lexicon and not just jewelry watches. Right, guys?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great intro there because it touches on the journey to this point, because there was a period where we started noticing hardstone vintage dials that was becoming, maybe I'm going to go and find there's a couple of Rolex models that have, is it onyx dials that suddenly spiked in price, and people are now suddenly seeking out, Piaget entered the conversation, re-entered the conversation, and then the first brands to market were, of course, a speedy little Microbrands.
Yeah.
Who quickly brought out hardstone dials at prices never before seen.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the question is, but when did the big box brands reclaim this trend? And it was in 2025. We saw a Tiger Iron GMT Master 2, Rolex coming in strong with the stone dials years after they'd re-peaked. So there's kind of been a bit of interesting backstory. And I know you don't like this backstory so much because for you, this is your world. Whereas for people that are watching that may not ever have thought of themselves as having jewelry watches or thought of themselves as having stone dial watches, this is the first time they've seen it.
And yet interest has grown dramatically, especially with the rise of turquoise dial, which are either made of natural gemstone or lacquer. Obviously, we've had diamond indexes, diamond bezel, which normally were limited to feminine timepieces. But even though we've got the resurgence of rap singers in the US or the Middle Eastern market who are really fond of just bejeweled gem set pieces, now I found that a lot of you guys can pull this off quite easily. I could totally see you half naked, your Defender, the dog in the back, and you rocking this like gem set, super cool watch. What would you see yourself wearing?
While doing that, I'll be treating one of those chili sticks. Idea, half naked. No, the thing is, if you look at my wrist, I'm wearing a diamond bracelet next to my watch with a colorful red strap that attaches. So little bricks. Why am I doing this? I mean, I'm 55. I mean, it's a weird thing that all of a sudden I show an interest in precious stones. See, I could see myself wear a watch. I own the Denizen. And I love it. I mean, people think that I'm wearing a vintage Piaget from the 60s or 70s with stone dials were hot, coming off hot from Piaget with matching jewelry. But I think using the precious stones on a watch just adds to the watch, because what do you have? You have a black dial, a white dial, a blue dial, and then all of a sudden you get unique materials.
Careful there. Precious stones, jewelry 101. It's only diamonds, emeralds, sapphires, and rubies. When you're talking about, but we'll get into this, when you're talking about hardstones, we're talking about ornamental stones, where you're talking about color gemstones, which is what you have on your wrist.
Exactly.
We're talking about fine gemstones, because semi-precious stone is a term that has been banned in February 2017.
Whoa.
Closed chapter. Back to what you were saying. And then we need to do our wrist checks.
Bonus info. Thank you, Eleanor. Well, okay, I just showed this. So that's the Explorer 2. Freccione, reference 1655. It's from 1981, sold in 1984 from my local Rolex dealer.
What are you wearing? And
well, I'm going to do accessories as well, because as it happens, I just noticed I have a sapphire cabochon on this bracelet by
Looks
Cased
like a-
in Time. I
It is
actually,
winding
not
crown from
really
Cartier.
a cabochon, but it is a sapphire.
yeah, I also have a Rolex crown. And if it turns
You're
around,
so hype.
I
And
have
an Omega.
Omega crown on these little bracelets. But yeah, that's as close as I've got to jewelry. On the actual watch hand, we have the Farah, which is a British brand, doing what they do so well, like this super tank construction to this cob watch. The thing I love about this watch is the tones of the colors on the dial. There's the blue sunray, then you've got this like desaturated yellow, and then this almost like a faded penguin novel. You know how the pages go kind of off-white? I just love all these tones. It feels super British to me. That's me. What are you wearing, Ellie?
I am wearing, for the occasion, a little Cartier Benoit, the Bengal version in yellow gold, next to what we call tennis bracelet. Another anecdote based on tennis player Steffi Graf, who at the US Open was playing, and she had a diamond line bracelet, which was a diamond line, and she completely stopped the tennis court because her bracelet had fallen off. And everybody started going crazy. She was like, "Where's my bracelet? Where's my diamond bracelet?" She picked it up. Everybody started cheering. And ever since, a line of diamonds set as a bracelet is now called a tennis bracelet.
I never knew it was Steffi Graf. I thought
Really?
the story was a lot older.
No,
That is crazy.
no.
I knew the story, but not Steffi Graf.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I
And this
gave
is a
my,
line of sapphires.
I
But
gave my girlfriend, on my 40th birthday, I gave my girlfriend a tennis bracelet in
It's a
Rome.
man of class, isn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was
His
really cool.
birthday, you win.
And she was so out of it that she was like, "What? Do you need me to try this on for your mom's wrist or what?" I'm like, "No, babe, it's for you."
Mm,
And she was like really happy, and that was like her first row of diamonds.
mm.
After that, of course, she's like swimming in it. The
diamonds
love
are a girl's
from a
best
man.
friend, after all.
Back
So-
to the watches. Sorry.
Back to the second lesson. We already had one with terms. Now we have another one with tennis bracelet.
Yeah.
So I think now we should like deep dive into the probably what are the top 3 biggest trends that we've been spotted in the watch collections for the last couple of years. And I think you gentlemen, because I'm going to be leading this episode and I'm going to be talking quite a lot. So I'm expecting you guys to interrupt me and just like harsh me down with a lot of questions. I think you wanted to start with ornamental stones and hardstone dials.
Okay, yeah. Well, we already just touched it with the Denison, of course, which is a modern interpretation of what we probably knew from the 60s or 70s, including the shape. But we learned something today during lunch about a mother of pearl dial. You said, "Oh, it's a stone dial." Is that true?
It's
I thought
considered,
it was
yeah.
from a shell.
It is from a shell. It's called, for the black pearls at least, it's called Pinta da Margaripitera, which is...
Is that French?
It isn't. I think it's probably Latin, to
Okay.
be quite honest. And it's basically the variety of oyster in which you harvest pearls and in which obviously you harvest mother of pearl. And depending on the shades that you have, so here we have the fierce dial, which has this pink mother of pearl. In this Sean, we've got this black mother of pearl. You can have a white mother of pearl. You can have a champagne mother of pearl. And these are just depending on from what region in the world they're from. So usually the black is from French Polynesia, the champagne is from the Philippines, white is usually from China. There's a lot of region like this where you can learn this like subtlety dials. But back to your question, yes, they're considered ornamental stones dials.
So the mother of pearl dials come like that, or do they actually add color to?
They don't.
Okay, so
Because when they open the shell, you just look at which part do you want to take out in order to use for your dial. And it could be more pink or more purple or more blue or more, and it's just like an opal. When you have an opal, you have different hues and different shades. If you really want, like, for example, what Piaget released this year, we were just talking about it, they had this like super intense, almost turquoise opal, which is like the heart of the heart, which is a black opal. And on the opposite, you've got this white opal with like hues of orange and green, and it's like really intense. And I think those are the two stones that we've seen the most recently in dials from many brands.
Mm-hmm. And I think that what the kicking off point was for this episode was that, interestingly, Microbrands have been the ones to really lean into this in the last few years. Baltic also did a series with lapis lazuli, with malachite, and then with orange agate, which was, it's such a cool stone. And we sell so many of these because it looks, everyone says it looks like an orange lozenge. It looks like something that you can taste when you look at it. It's crazy. So there's been this really strong theme of stone dials in Microbrands. But yeah, the reason for this episode is that you just can't deny the trend when it reaches the crown. And Rolex released a GMT Master 2 with a Tiger iron dial, which has a bit of an Australian connection. This is a stone that is only found in Australia. It's a you tell me more, but it's tiger eye with iron deposits through it.
Yes, which is why you get those layers and the different intensities of brown and almost like intense yellow, where if you look at this watch, for example, you can see here that it's lighter, but if you just move the dial, you can see that all of a sudden yellow just moves completely. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in a sense that it's not because you have a stone on your watch that it's a jewelry watch, or it's too feminine and you're too much of a man to pull off a stone dial. It's not true, because it just gives more depth. The same way that we've had meteorite dials, the same way we've had onyx dial. And truth is, you were talking earlier about kind of what I call the big four, which are lapis lazuli, onyx, malachite, and turquoise, which I think they've been used and overused to the point that I'm fed up of those, just because there's so many great gemstones in the market. And when we were reviewing this episode last year, Ulysse Nardin released the Diver Atoll with this chrysoprase dial, and it was a limited edition, and every single die was completely different, because chrysoprase is obviously this very intense, vivid blue ornamental stone. So it's a hardstone. There's no facets. It doesn't shine as much like a diamond or an emerald or any other stones. And it just brings something different. And I remember asking them, do you only sell them to women? I was like, nope. Turns out we sell them to men as well.
But if we just go back to the stones, because 2025 was like going back to the Stone Age, if you like. And one of the presentations that I appreciate the most was HMO Zanzi with the pop watches.
Yeah.
Because as I said earlier on the show, I think the stone dials are a fun way to make your watch unique instead of just having a black or blue or whatever dial. But they also mixed the hardstone dials with each other. So you had like two different stones within one watch.
Oh yeah, the Millon brothers took like one step further, because when you look at it, like as a matter of fact, it is a gem set work, because not only he's been using, again, ornamental stones, so you need to basically slice it so thin, but you need to be careful that it doesn't break. And I know they've broken quite a lot of stones. That's one thing when you've got that slice. But then you need to make sure that if you looked at those dials and you've got the 6 counter, the 6 p.m. counter, and then you've got the circle within the dial, and then imagine that you need to laser cut it so that one fits perfectly on top of one another. Remember one thing, each gemstone, and they're using jade, they're using a pink opal, they're using, from memory, they're using lapis, they're using turquoise. All these stones don't have the same density, don't have the same strongness on the Mohs scale. That's the scale you're using to measure the hardness of a stone. So you need to be really careful, because if you put one stone on top of the other and you think, oh, it's going to like fit the mold perfectly, well, one might just break on the side, and the other one you might be chipped on the other, and then you have to do it all over again. And what they managed to achieve with this collection is, I think, just mind-blowing.
I'm gonna do a little leap here into the precious stones, if you like.
Yes.
You corrected me, and I said something wrong. And I think that Andrew and I, we
Always a
will
learning curve.
probably ask a lot of things that may seem stupid to you. But now we talked about the precious stones. I didn't know that a mother of pearl dial was actually a stone dial, considered a stone dial. But before we go into watches with diamonds or precious stones, what is a lab-grown diamond compared to a mined diamond? Better? Shittier? Cheaper?
Let's start with the beginning. A lab-grown diamond, as it says, is grown in a lab. A mined diamond takes basically millions of years to come off the ground of the earth, and it takes millions of years to do so. But what's really interesting is that a lab-grown diamond is chemically, aesthetically, and optically the same. It's the process of how they're being made that is different. And I usually take this image where I do an analogy, and I'm stealing it literally from a journalist who wrote an amazing article a few years ago. I think it was a Wall Street Journal, where she did a comparison between a baby that you had naturally versus an IVF baby.
Yeah.
One, like the diamond, the mined diamond, has grown for millions of years under the earth. The IVF baby was born above the earth and created in a lab, basically. But when they come to life, it's two similar babies. And you never introduce your IVF baby, you introduce your baby. And so
I love that.
it's just the method that's different. Now, price-wise, which was your second question, it's a $1 million question, no joke, because when you look at small calibrated gemstones, for example, like paving of a bezel or a piece of jewelry, for me, it doesn't really add much value. You're probably going to have a 20% price difference, like as the cost of the gemstone. But the setting, which means the actual technique that requires a gem setter to put the gemstone into the metal and close it with prongs in order to hold the stone together, the price is exactly the same. So it becomes interesting money-wise when you've got larger carats. So when you go about half a carat, 1 carat, 2 carat, the higher you go in terms of carat weight, the biggest difference you'll have with a mined diamond, up until 50 to 60%.
Okay, so my question is, probably I think other people have asked,
Yes.
if I were to marry you and I would propose you with a ring,
Yes.
and I'd say, and me being a, fashionable guy, knowing, I read my Marie Claire and whatever, I would buy you a wedding ring with a lab-grown diamond.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be okay with that?
I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
But
Good.
you have to take into consideration a few things. First, it's a discussion I don't want to get into, because the reason why people are today confused between lab-grown diamonds and mined diamonds, it's precisely because of this. It's basically taking the image where you could get basically a bigger and cheaper diamond to use in an engagement ring. Truth is, yes, but it should be marketed this way, because the first lab-grown diamonds, bear in mind, was created in 1953 by General Electric. So it wasn't born yesterday. It's just that because of all the technology and all the innovation, and we needed something new in our industry, it just got accelerated in terms of provenance, in terms of who made the, et cetera. So sustainability, there's also a big component to it. My point is, lab-grown diamonds enables you to create more things, bigger things, more creative things that mined diamonds wouldn't allow you to. And we'll get into this with watches. The first brand who introduced lab-grown diamonds was Tag Heuer, when they created the plasma collection with those fragments of diamonds within.
It's like a window had shattered.
Yeah, it looks like
exactly
broken glass they put into
this would have never been possible with mined diamond. I mean, it would have, but it would have cost millions. With lab-grown diamonds, it is possible because, again, you've got exactly the same visual, aesthetic, optical. And again, that's something I've been saying for a lot of years. But in the watch industry, diamonds are purely aesthetic. It doesn't add much value besides the price tag when you go to a retail store and buy the watch. But at resale, it's not because you've got diamonds that it's got a higher value. And even if you have a 2-carat pear cut diamond that is set on the bezel, like a Chopard piece, for example, it's purely aesthetic. And I think that's when lab-grown become interesting, because you can get bigger size of diamonds, like on your bezel, on your crown, inside your dial, and you can really have fun with
And
lab-grown
unusual
diamonds.
shapes too.
And then
They did
unusual
a diamond
shapes as well.
crown on that watch.
Exactly, a diamond
Yes,
crown.
there is.
They did the logo of Tag into the diamond. Now, I think they priced it the wrong way, but just because it's not because it's got the diamond label that it should be worth 100 grand based on the carat weight. Everybody knows that, especially when you produce it with like that much, it doesn't cost much. It does. It's still a process. It's still considered diamond, et cetera, et cetera. But they should have never priced it like they did. That being said, we were talking about Furl and Mary, which we have mentioned in a lot of the episodes. He just released at the last Watches and Wonders a new piece with a black dial and lab-grown baguette diamond indexes. And it just makes sense
cool
with
piece.
the evolution of the brand. As much as Oris, we were together at the launch of the Miss Piggy, which for the very first time, Oris introduced a diamond in their watch, and it was a lab-grown diamond.
But I understand why Oris is doing it. That is why I'm asking, is there any difference? I understand because Oris, as I see it, it's the, don't get me wrong, the working man's watch. So to me, the choice of diamond from Oris is more like, we need to do it a little more pedestrian and not luxurious.
No, but also it just makes sense with the mentality and the values of the brand. Their carbon footprint is neutral. They really work on sustainability. They're really conscious about the material that they use, the recycling part of it. And it was just normal, just like Furl and Mary. His price point is there and he needed to keep it there. And he didn't want to be like blocked in a way where, okay, I want to use diamond, but if I use diamond, the prices of my watches are going to go there. And then I'm going to lose most of the clients that I have. Why not using lab-grown diamonds? He's a new brand. He's modern. He's young. He can do whatever he wants. And it's true that it's harder for institutional brands to come up with the use of lab-grown diamonds because not only the education is not there yet, and people really need to understand what a lab-grown diamond is versus a mined diamond. And I think the big problem is here is that people don't know and they're confused.
That's super educational.
Yeah, look, I think there's a pivot here that I need to make because I have something to bring to the table.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we talked about lab-grown in Microbrands. I actually have on my phone just here a message from a friend of the show because he's a friend of ours, Emmanuel Giet.
Yeah.
Yes.
I asked him yesterday, I said, Emmanuel, there are rumors swirling around that you will make this watch with diamonds.
Yeah.
And I assumed that they would be lab-grown. Guess what?
They're natural diamonds.
Natural diamonds. So.
But the question is, how is he pricing this?
I have it all here.
Okay.
So this is the watch in question.
Truth comes out now.
On
like it.
Emmanuel's wrist.
It's a good-looking
seems to
piece.
be like a lovely anthracite sunray.
Yeah.
On the dial, there's a little video that I'm sure we can also make in B-roll, but it's like a lighter grey dial as opposed to black. You're getting a sense of the setting. What would you call this setting? This is like it's a bezel setting.
Classic setting. No, it's not bezel.
It's
prongs.
It's a case setting.
It's a channel with prongs. You've got the four little thing that holds the stone together.
Yeah, so little grips.
Yep.
Yeah. So obviously this dial really changes tone depending on how you're looking at it. There's a closer look.
You've got two lines of diamonds. Yeah.
2 lines of diamonds. So
10 pointers, I think.
Okay. This is just, again, this is the first time I'm showing this because it just came in. Right, the price will be $3,900 US for a 1.7 carat quality GH, very slightly included VSI.
Okay.
Set in.
So, okay, let's pause here.
Okay.
For you to understand the quality of a diamond, because when you get a diamond, the same as you would get box and papers when you get a watch, you would get a certificate. Most of the time, it's a GIA certificate, Gemological Institute of America. You could get an HRD, you could get, there's a couple of labs that officially certifies gemstones. You will rarely have a certificate on a gemstone that is lower than 0.30 carats, which is a little less than half a carat. That being said, when you do the gradings, you've got the 4 C's. The 4 C's stand for carat, cut, color, and clarity. The color is the whitest that you can get. And the whitest is the D color. So for example, you would only get a DEF color at Graf, Harry Winston, and Tiffany's, if I'm not mistaken, for the use of engagement rings. They would never go under those colors. Cartier, you can find GH color for the center stone because they wanted to do so. And it's fine, because then the color is not the only characteristics you need to look at. You can get a G color, but a clarity, which is here, in that case, the VS1, very slightly included. You've got IF is the highest of all, internally flawless. And then you go down to the ladder, you like the image of the ladder, and then you go down to VVS2, VVS1, VS2, VS1, SI, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
But when you read a certificate, and sometimes when you've got bigger diamonds and it comes with a certificate, and here in the matter they say, well, it's a GH color, it's not a bad thing. Obviously, the more you go down, the more yellow and gray and included it's going to be. But it's better to have a G color with a higher clarity than a higher color and a lower clarity.
Mm-hmm.
That's something we can get into later. But when it comes to paving, like the watch we just showed, it's not really that important because you're never going to see the difference. The price will be different, but it's a great priced
How does that
watch.
wrap up? This is the package, $3,000.
It's a normal price.
Yeah.
It's a good price. But if he had done it with lab-grown diamonds, it would have probably come down to just under 2,500. But bear in mind, the setting is the same price
as the stone.
No, setting a mine diamond and a lab-grown diamond is the exact same price.
The labor
cost
to actually
which
set
is
the
why when you have to set that many stones, your labor price is not going to change. It's just the cost price of the raw material.
Mm.
So that's something to bear in mind.
Okay. Andrew, you seem like you have a question on
diamonds.
Well, I want to talk about the first time that diamonds came to my attention and that I thought that this could ever be, because I want to hear if there's anything that's caught your eye and yours too, because you're watching this thinking, okay, you have my attention.
Uh-huh.
We are now, because I believe enough in Hardstone dials to, I'm going to use this moment to tell you something that I haven't shared with you either.
God.
Which is that...
It's getting emotional.
Yeah, it is.
I love you both equally. No.
If you were gemstones, you'd be this one.
I
don't know enough yet to say that. We are doing a studio edition of a Denison with an opal dial.
My favorite gemstone.
Yeah.
And my birthstone, for the matter.
I believe enough in the appeal of these, I'm not going to say precious or semi-precious, but I believe enough in Hardstone dials to want to do an edition. But it's a really unusual setting, and it's in like a parquetry style setting where
Parquetry?
It's like
so we've got fragments,
but not random fragments. They're like brick shaped, but then placed almost like a parquetry floor. You know.
Oh, that kind of puff. Okay.
Yeah.
And black opal, right? Not white opal.
Well.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So this is something that we're actually going to do in the studio, and again, it will be £700 for an opal dial.
I want one, and this is recorded. There's proofs.
One as well.
I do want one. With diamonds?
No diamonds at this
point.
point.
Can I have it customized?
Yes, you can, because Manuel can do yours with
flooring.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I need that watch.
Okay.
Having been in the auction business for many, many moons, I've seen a whole plenty of bedazzled watches. So you know, I've seen for him and her and other genders, but the one that really took my breath away was pretty recent. I think it was it last year during Dubai Watch Week. And that was the H. Moser & C Streamliner Rainbow.
I've said that already. It's my ultimate
I don't
watch.
know if it was because we were where we were and it was hot. The sun is just special there. But I remember my photographer was taking a wrist shot. And I forgot to get up and deliver back the watch and stuff like that. I just looked at it. And if you asked me at that moment what time it was, I had no clue.
It was time for you to have that.
I was just like, wow. And the funny thing, Carlos from Bell and Ross, he comes on, hey, Kristian, how are you doing? And I ignore him.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, and then I get up and go like, Carlos, look at this. And I'm so
Was it the
blown
Benta Black
away.
dial?
I don't even remember the dial, but the stone setting on this watch, which is a very sporty, modern sporty watch, unexpected from H. Moser and C back in 2019 or 20, I think it was released, and then seeing it with a decoration of stones that I never even considered would look great in any watch I would wear. So it really took me by storm.
And you know what? You probably don't know why, but it's the beauty of the exercise. And I visited the atelier in which Moser has their bejeweled watches set.
Okay.
It's an amazing atelier in Geneva. They work with a lot of brands in the industry. And number one, it's the quality of the gemstones. Number two, for the stones to actually fit perfectly the case, the bezel, because it's not really a bezel, they need to hand cut each stone, which they each have a different caliber. And it perfectly brings down to our third trend, which is the rainbow. And Moser is part of those brands who only uses sapphires.
Uh-huh.
Sapphire, as I explained, is a precious gemstone. So it's got this vivid, brilliance, faceting quality that you would never get with any other gemstone, which is why there's 3 ways of doing rainbow bezels. And the sapphire one is obviously the most beautiful one because it's the hardest one because of sourcing, provenance of where to find the stone, the money, because it's obviously only precious stone, so it requires a budget. And problem is that Rolex is part of the game when it comes to rainbow bezels. Piaget is in the same game. Ulysse Nardin, and thank God they don't make many because of that sourcing problem.
Mm.
But it's just a handful of brands who can only afford to use sapphires because finding a purple sapphire can take years.
Tell the anecdote you told us at some point, I think it might have been over lunch or over coffee, about even, because again, you think Rolex is somehow existing in a different sphere and that somehow they have access to different things. They have their own foundry for their steel,
they do.
their own foundry for gold. But you were telling me that this problem strikes even Rolex.
Of course, because when you want to do a dial like this, you need to get all the color palette of the rainbow, from green to orange, pink, etc., etc. But the problem is that if you cannot find that missing piece of the puzzle, to reuse your expression, in like that purple hue that you need to top of the rainbow, then you're stuck because you cannot finish the piece if you're missing that gemstone.
Uh-huh.
And because Rolex is also part of the brand, which they do to perfection and excellency, they need to know exactly where the stone is coming from which mine, which dealer, which has to be certified, etc., etc., etc. And that takes a lot of time because at some point it's a mineral resource that is found in the earth. And if earth hasn't produced any, then we can make it up.
So
you
we
just wait.
I love that. That's brilliant.
Which is why when it's funny when you hear people like, oh my God, but when you're Rolex, they can just increase the production. No, they can't.
Mother Nature says no.
They just can't. Which is why the other and most of the rainbows that you see, and I think we can name amongst all of us probably 20 brands who have explored the path of rainbow dials, rainbow hands, rainbows.
The Zenith rainbow, the Omega rainbow. I've seen a rare platinum Speedmaster that had a rainbow bezel. Are they rainbows? What is it? Why are there so many songs about rainbows? Why are there so many watches with rainbows? And
because it's lively, it's cool.
Are they all
nice.
the same? Are they
They're not.
all? No. So tell me the different ways you do a rainbow.
So the first way is the one I've just explained, is only sapphires.
That's the best way.
It's the best way. You have a really intense pink or red sapphire. Otherwise, it's a ruby, but it's still a precious stone. Because sapphires come in every single color, but red.
Interesting.
Then the second way of doing a rainbow is multicolored gemstones. So, for example, for the green, you can use an emerald if you want. Most of the brand use Tsavorite.
Mm-hmm.
The purple, none of them will use a purple sapphire. They will use amethyst. And amethyst, you can find loads of them. And they're super cheap. Then you've got different range of quality and grading color. But again, it's purely aesthetic, so you need to find the right hue.
That's so interesting.
And then you've got the orange could be a sapphire, and if it's not, it could be a mandarin garnet. It could be
Interesting.
specitide. It can be like there's just could be a spinel. Like for example, my ring here, the orange, even though it's a very dirty ring, the center gemstone, which is the orange, is a spinel.
What is a spinel?
So spinel is a gemstone which should be, in my opinion, part of the precious gemstone because of the price and the quality. But I don't know if you heard the story of, the British crown with the big ruby.
Uh-huh.
For years, for decades, for hundreds of years, we thought it was a massive ruby. Turned out it was a spinel. And the way you make a difference, the way you see a difference between a spinel and a ruby, and it's, again, I'm not a gemologist, so it's just because I've seen so many that I can see the difference. But there's a trick. If you put a spinel and a ruby under a table, so in darkness, the one that will shine the most in darkness is the spinel.
What is a spinel? It's a stone.
A spinel, it's a stone that comes in all hues of red to pink, all hues of blue to gray, and it's just this faceted, clear color gemstone that comes in the range of all of the color gemstones.
Hey, King Charles V, are you wearing a spinel on your crown? Obviously it is.
Are they worth a lot? Are spinels precious?
So now, the thing is, like now, because rubies have become, as you know, like there's a scarcity in rubies, and more than 90% of the rubies on the market have gone a treatment, which is not a bad thing, but they either got like treated, heat treated for like to enhance the color, or there's been some sort of enhancement to the stone. Spinels don't have that much treatment. But again, do you want a precious stone with a label on it, the ruby, or you want a better quality gemstone, which is a spinel, but it's not a precious stone?
Okay, so
I would go with my eyes closed to spinel.
When you say diamonds are treated,
Rubies.
No, diamonds, modern precious stones. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so if I buy a vintage Rolex Day-Date with a stone dial, will there be a difference of a vintage diamond compared to a modern diamond?
So there are some differences which we call ancient cut. Like for example, the rose cut. So I don't know if you know, but in the standard idea of like a round diamond, so brilliant cut diamond, you've got 57 facets. An ancient cut, you've got different numbers of facets. If I'm not mistaken, you've got more. I think you've got 96. So you've got a different reflection. Usually the diamonds are much thinner, so they don't have that pointy modern take, which is why we call it an ancient cut. And in most vintage watches, you've got ancient cut diamonds, which usually have a lower and poorer quality because they're more easily chipped, because the setting was different, because there's just so many reasons why they're different. But you can tell a modern cut from an ancient cut. It's interesting.
I'm back to school now. It's amazing.
Back to rain. So far you've got two grades of rainbows. You've got the superior all sapphire
and multi-gemstones.
Anything else?
Multicolored. The third one, and it's François Paul Journe, who, for the tribute to Gino Ginotti, which, as you know, was this Antwerp retailer who unfortunately passed away because of cancer, and he decided to pay him a tribute in creating two versions of the Elegant on a titanium case. But he did a rainbow, but he was actually not following the exact rainbow, but it was a multicolored rainbow bezel, but it was made with crystal ceramic glass.
It looks so cool.
That is a cool
I didn't like it.
I really liked it.
I didn't like it.
Cool.
And I asked him, I was like, and you need to know that François Paul loves gemstones and he's really knowledgeable about gemstones. He collects jewelry, he buys gemstones. I was like, why you, of all people, didn't use gemstones? You didn't need to go through sapphires. You could have, even you, like as an innovation, you could have used like jade or something like pretty crazy.
Why do you think he did it?
He did it simply because, and that's like this OCD, which you guys can relate, he wanted to get the exact color that he needed with no inclusion, no imperfection. He wanted the exact perfect hue. And it's only in creating synthetic colors that he would get exactly what he wanted.
And you have an Elegant. And is that a diamond set? Are they real diamonds?
Yeah.
And how many carats, or do you know what the carat weight is?
There's not a lot, actually.
Yeah.
No, because again, even if the Elegant was without the diamonds, it'd still be as beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why I think, but that we're bringing it to like another subject, which obviously when the watch industry started thinking about making watches for women, they simply took an existing model, they reduced the diameter, they put a mother of pearl, they added a few diamonds in the bezel, like, there you go, woman, here's your watch.
Women?
I think it's just the worst possible exercise ever. And thank God now it's been more common to use other gemstones, hardstones, different diamonds, and just like the tiny like 10 pointers that just, whether they're here, they're not there, you don't see the difference, which is why it's interesting to see how, for example, on the Rendezvous piece of Jaeger LeCoultre, I don't know if you remember, they did those 2 lines of diamonds on like the bezel with 2 different diameters. That was interesting.
Let's go.
This brings something to the table.
Yeah.
But just adding a few diamonds around it.
Or like the
What's the
limelight
point?
gala, the way that on the Piaget have
Agreed.
the diamonds
With the line like
create the
this,
shapes.
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
My question to
Beautiful.
you now is, and we touched this in a whole different episode. Would you date a guy that wears a Rolex with diamonds on the dial?
Maybe change the brand.
Okay.
No, I would, because he's a baller,
No,
because he does it.
Rolex is such a dude's brand, right? And
Yeah.
you know, there's a day date, and then you have a day date with baguettes on the dial.
Yeah.
2 different watches.
I
Two
think it's
different men.
I think it's pretty cool. Like, okay, for me, the most beautiful exercise that was done recently by brands who was only able to pull this off, which was to me the most feminine timepiece ever with no gemstones. And that was the Carolina Bucci Frosted Gold of Audemars Piguet.
Yeah.
No gemstones, just a technique where they're hammering with the diamond tiptoe tool.
Yeah.
Where they
it's
would
a
just
cool
like
one.
give this like shimmering
you got
effect.
You got this feel from it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But I met a guy one day who just came over, was like, I love watches. I can pull this off. He was all wearing like Rome hearts. And I think when he sees this episode, he knows that I'm talking about him. But
Sorry, dude.
it was this AP, rose gold, frosted gold, skeleton, tourbillon, rainbow bezel. Too
Wow.
much.
That's a lot.
There's a lot going on there.
Too much.
Yeah. That's a lot.
But cool.
Okay.
But too much.
One of them would have been cool, but 3?
Yeah, 3 too much.
3 too much.
Pick it. Like, it's just like when you do the cleavage, the high heels, the red lips, and the big diamonds. Whoa, what's going on here?
Where do I
Kind
look?
of the same thing.
Where do I look?
This is to me the most educational episode of A Matter of Time. I feel like I have to go.
I
all
hope we
over
didn't
again.
I'm
bore
hoping
you.
there isn't a test.
No. So bring out your pencils, a little piece of paper. I'm going to test your knowledge on precious stone dies now.
No, but it's really interesting. And as you know, I'm getting like all fired up and all excited because I do as much as Julia as I do watches. And now it's just the best of the 2 worlds where finally brands don't just introduce their new models when they're like, oh, we've got something a little feminine, but still you might like it. Now it's like, boom, on the table, stone dials.
And guess what?
bezels,
It's working
diamonds,
both ways
this and that.
because I brought this out yesterday or the day before, and you got so angry. Remember?
Yeah, because I think it's just like, it's the easy way of doing a watch with like a mother of pearl.
It's a mother of pearl.
It's just, I just find
No,
it too easy.
But did you actually register what I then said? Hey,
Said it was a ladies' watch. Was that
my
what you said?
man?
Yeah, you
my
say
man
your man.
Barney at Ginger Watch Guy, to follow him, from the Discovery Studio in London, has just bought this watch.
Good for him.
And this
Again.
for him, and again, I feel like this is a pretty wild choice for a man. I feel like this is not any kind of existing cliche for a man to wear a mother of pearl watch. There's been a trend towards pink through the OP with the dusky dial that was really popular,
Tudor,
through the Tudor, through the Grand Seiko. The cherry
Oh
blossom.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's a
beautiful.
gorgeous
The
piece.
shun bun. So
Yeah,
men
it's
are
beautiful.
gravitating to pink. And when
Love it.
Barney picked this up, he's getting an enormous thrill. He said to me that, boss, this is the best. I hate it when they call me boss. This is the best, most exciting new pickup for me because of this mother of pearl element. So I think it may be true that shrink it and pink it for women is definitely a dastardly and uncreative way to do women's watches. But it's the paradigm shift of my big boy Barney. He's a big, tall guy, red hair, big unit, wearing this pink watch. It's radical.
You know what he also said? He asked, when I wear this, do you think Eleanor will date me?
No, I won't. No, but again, you have to see from what
That ship has sailed.
No, but it's just that mother of pearl have been used, and reused. There's nothing new about a mother of pearl dial. So, and it's not bold. It's not wild. It's interesting. It's great. It's great that he climbed up that ladder and he went outside his comfort zone. We spoke about this, but there's nothing wild about this watch. Like there's when you just describe it and just cut. There's nothing wild.
I think in some ways there's nothing wild about a Panerai, but there's something wild about a very slight art director or fashionista woman wearing a 47mm Panerai. It's all about context. There's something wild about a 6 foot tall guy with a big rig.
I think this is more wild for a 6 foot tall, like the way you picture this guy wearing a Denizen, which kind of looked like a watch from the 70s with this like approach.
Well, Barney, Eleanor's just picked your next watch. Maybe she will date you, actually. Eleonor is off the market.
Yeah,
and Loic, I'm with you, bro.
Yes.
I'm sorry that this keeps coming up. That's Kristian's fault.
But Andrew will date you, so Barney, still got it going on.
Kristian, you're holding something in your hands.
Yes, I'm sorry because
yes.
yes. We also have to admit that people don't have all the time in the world, but I know that this episode has been extra educational.
Extra Eleonor.
You know, I wanted to be not a kindergarten, but like middle school teacher. Always dreamed of that for 15 years until I decided
I can see you
to.
at the GIA being like the the course holder.
No, but that's why I love doing like conferences. And I love to do like internal trainings with brand explaining what's going on in the industry.
Join your cooking classes. Fun. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because you want to eat French food.
Yes, I do. Dear friends of the show.
It's fun and games.
We
all know what time it is.
Yeah, but
Let's hope we haven't had. I'm going to get
matter of time.
This is a great one. I've got a new one. Excellent. Let's put these down. Put your cards on the table, team.
This is
yeah,
so this episode.
I don't have kids.
Okay.
Give me another one.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Oh, should I start while we pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Boom. I'm putting my cards on the table. It's a bit of a dull answer, actually. The most commented on watch I own is the turquoise Norcane Wild One. The reasons are the color.
Yeah.
And from a distance, for people that aren't that into watches or they don't live and breathe it like we do, the skeletonized dial makes them go, I can see through. So the turquoise Wild One is my most commented on watch by far.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I can totally see that. Eleanor, what's your card?
I still feel proud about acquiring my Elegant by FP Journe.
Yeah.
That was
because I've been wanting this watch for so long.
When did you get it?
When did I get it?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Wow, it's that new.
I have never seen you with it.
I wore it for so long. But the problem is that, well, first of all, I've never talked about my personal collection as much as in those episodes.
This is true.
And also because it's just, you know, when you're in the industry, when you watch, or your dad is a retailer, when you're a girl, like people always think like you're being gifted this watch, or you can get this watch because, or you had that watch because you dated the guy. No, it's just because I worked my ass off for 10 years to buy the actual watch that it was my dream watch. And I did.
Guess what?
And I'm proud of it.
People know that story
actually.
now, and they know it
exactly.
now.
The last time I felt like a bowler was, and I was wearing, and that I have to say, that was the H. Mozansi Rainbow. And I was in Dubai.
Yeah.
I mean, wearing that watch was like standing in a fur coat, having a pimp cup, and just blasting hip hop.
No. You know what the song is? They see me rolling. You know that?
Yeah.
They hate.
Okay,
Not
guys.
today, at least.
You were not in the studio, so you don't understand the tension, the electricity, the stress, the fatigue that we've all undergone. You can see it on our face. I really enjoyed this episode. I really hope you did too. It was a little bit different. It was a little more educational. It was a little bit of outside everyone's comfort zone, besides mine. But it was really interesting. And please do send us comments.
And also,
Good call.
which watch? I'm going to ask this card to you guys and girls. The last time I felt like a bowler was, and I was wearing. Tell us. Show us in the comments below.
Anyways, au revoir.
Au revoir.
Tak for nu.
See you next time.
Pretty little thing living like you count, cause mama, I'm sure hard to hell and I yes around.